Imagine a village of mud huts perched on 7 mosquito-ridden hills, herding cattle beside a flood-prone river. Within 5 centuries, that same village will command a quarter of humanity, pave the Mediterranean with warships, and stamp 4 letters, SPQR, across 3 continents. How did Rome pull off the greatest glow-up in political history? This is the improbable rise of a republic that devoured kingdoms, the military machine that learned from every defeat, and the cultural supernova that still shapes your roads, your language, and even your calendar. Strap in. 17 minutes, 10 turning points, 1 empire. Chapter 1. The Republic is born in 509 BC. Romans tossed out their last king, Lucius Tarquinius Superbus, and swore never again to kneel to a single crown. Instead, they invent a political speed governor. 2 consuls, equal in power, each elected for just 1 year, each holding veto over the other. Behind them sits a senate of elders. The word literally means old men, while popular assemblies let ordinary citizens shout aye or nay on laws and war. The system is chaotic, argumentative, and perpetually on the brink of constitutional meltdown, yet that very friction sharpens Rome. Ambitious aristocrats now have to win votes, not royal favor, so they chase glory on the battlefield and legislate at home. The Republic turns warfare into resume building and citizenship into a contract. Serve, pay taxes, and share the spoils. Chapter 2. Conquering Italy. Lesson 1 in Empire Craft. Secure your backyard. From 400 to 264 BC, Rome fought 3 Samnite wars against hill tribes wielding javelins and mountain ambushes. The Romans answered with adaptation. They ditched the rigid Greek phalanx for the triplex aces, 3 flexible lines of maniples that fight like a steel hinge, absorbing shocks and counterattacking on cue. They paved the Via Appia, a perfectly straight highway from Rome to Capua, slashing travel time for legions and trade caravans. When the Greek cities of southern Italy hire King Pyrrhus and his war elephants, Rome bleeds but does not buckle. Pyrrhus wins battles, yet loses so many men that victory becomes synonymous with disaster, a Pyrrhic win. By the time the dust settles, every city from the Alps to the Strait of Messina is allied, annexed, or paying protection money to Rome. Chapter 3. The Punic Wars. Rome versus Carthage. Conquest of Italy hands Rome a coastline and a new problem. Carthage, the Phoenician trade empire whose navy chokes off Western Mediterranean commerce. The First Punic War erupted in 264 BC. Romans scavenge a grounded Carthaginian quinquereme, copy it plank for plank, and churn out a fleet in 6 weeks, assembly line style. Their sailors are green, so they bolt boarding bridges called corvi onto decks, turning sea battles into gangplank brawls their infantry understands. It works. After 23 years, Carthage surrenders Sicily and a mountain of silver. Carthage's revenge comes via Hannibal Barca, who marches 40,000 men and 37 elephants over the Alps in 218 BC. At Cannae, he annihilates 8 Roman legions, killing 1 consul and about 1/5 of the male citizens of military age. Any other state would cut a deal. Rome drafts teenagers, emancipates slaves for service, and swears an oath. No treaty while Hannibal stands on Italian soil. They adopt Fabian tactics, delay, harass, avoid pitched battle, starving Hannibal of reinforcements. Meanwhile, a young general, Scipio, sails to Spain, severs Carthage's colonial arteries, then lands in Africa, forcing Hannibal home. At Zama, Scipio's cavalry outflanks Carthaginian lines. Hannibal's legend ends, and Rome inherits the Western Mediterranean. By 146 BC, Carthage is torched, its site cursed, and its libraries shipped to Rome. Chapter 4. Crisis of the Republic. Victory pours in silver, slaves, and grain, but also inequality. Cheap slave labor guts the family farm. Dispossessed veterans crowd Rome's tenements, selling votes for bread. Reformers Tiberius and Gaius Gracchus push land redistribution and subsidized grain, and are clubbed to death by senatorial mobs. Precedent is set. Murder is now a legislative tool. General Gaius Marius opens army ranks to the poor, forging legions loyal to paymasters, not the Senate. Lucius Cornelius Sulla marches on Rome twice, declaring himself dictator and publishing prescriptions, hit lists with cash bounties. Political violence becomes normalized. The Republic hemorrhages stability. Enter Julius Caesar, the charismatic populist who conquers Gaul, writing dispatches so riveting they double as war journalism and campaign propaganda. Ordered to disband his army, Caesar crossed the Rubicon in 49 BC, igniting civil war. He defeats Pompey, sweeps the Senate, and is proclaimed dictator for life. On the Ides of March, conspirators stab him 23 times beneath Pompey's statue, irony dripping like blood. They shout liberty, but unleash more war. The republic they aim to revive is already embalmed. Chapter 5. Augustus and the Pax Romana. Into the chaos steps 19-year-old Octavian, Caesar's adopted heir. He forms the second triumvirate with Mark Antony and Lepidus, avenges Caesar, then turns on his allies. Antony's affair with Cleopatra lets Octavian sell a narrative. Rome versus exotic decadence. At Actium in 31 BC, his fleet crushed Antony and Cleopatra. Octavian returns to Rome, renounces dictatorial powers, then accepts them back piecemeal with senatorial applause. He rebrands as Augustus, the revered one, and inaugurates the Pax Romana, 200 years of relative peace and economic boom. Augustus stabilizes currency with an empire-wide silver denarius, launches building programs that give Rome marble facades and the first fire brigade, and creates the Cursus Publicus, a postal relay system that zips messages across provinces faster than any rival culture. Frontiers are fortified, legion camps become embryonic cities, complete with bathhouses and amphitheaters. By AD 14, Rome ruled 65 million people, about a quarter of Earth's population, on less political bloodshed than the century before. Chapter 6. Engineering Superpowers. Rome doesn't just conquer, it builds. Aqueducts like Aqua Claudia deliver 300 million liters of water to Rome daily, enough for a bathhouse on every corner. Concrete blended with volcanic ash sets underwater, birthing ports like Caesarea Maritima and permanent harbors at Ostia. The Pantheon's dome, poured in layered concrete that gets lighter toward the oculus, still holds the record for the largest unreinforced concrete dome after 19 centuries. Roads, 50,000 miles of them, are crowned for drainage, layered for durability, and so precisely graded that some still serve modern traffic. Milestones mark every Roman mile. Way stations offer fresh horses. Logistics, not luck, keeps legions fed and tax revenue flowing. Chapter 7. Blood and Spectacle. Power also needs pageantry. The Colosseum, financed by the spoils of Judea, seats up to 80,000 screaming spectators beneath retractable canvas awnings. Gladiators follow strict fight choreographies, heavy secutor shields versus nimble retiarius nets, turning death into televised sport, avant la lettre. Emperors stage mock naval battles, flooding the arena to advertise control over land and sea. Chariot racing at Circus Maximus draws crowds of 200,000, divided into color-coded fan clubs that brawl like modern ultras. Bread doles out calories, circuses dull political teeth. Chapter 8. Voices from the margins, yet Rome is more than emperors and eagles. Women of the elite, from Livia to Agrippina, steer policy behind veils of domestic virtue. Vestal virgins guard Rome's sacred flame, wielding the power to pardon a condemned man with a single touch. Freed slaves become imperial secretaries. One, Narcissus, effectively co-rules with Emperor Claudius. Provincial subjects contribute too. Spanish olive oil fuels Roman lamps. Syrian traders import silk. North African grain feeds the capital. Citizenship, once a jealously guarded birthright, is extended empire-wide in AD 212 by Caracalla. Not altruism, but tax policy. Still, the edict turns former outsiders into stakeholders of the Roman idea. Chapter 9. Crisis, Division, and Transformation. No empire lives forever. In the 3rd century crisis, 26 emperors reigned in 50 years. Most died by sword. Plague slashes populations. Debased currency sparks inflation. Frontiers buckle under Gothic and Persian pressure. Emperor Diocletian split the administration into East and West, creating tetrarchs who ruled from new capitals closer to trouble spots. Constantine later reunites the empire, legalizes Christianity, and founds Constantinople on the Bosporus, a strategic pivot that secures the rich eastern provinces. Yet the western half, sapped of tax base and hammered by migrating tribes, collapses in 476 AD when the Germanic general Odoacer deposes the boy emperor Romulus Augustulus. The Eastern Roman, or Byzantine, Empire persists another 1,000 years, guarding Roman law, Greek culture, and Christian theology until 1453. Rome, as a political unit, dies. As an idea, it mutates and survives. Chapter 10. Why Rome Still Matters. Flip your calendar. January is named for Janus, god of doorways. March is for Mars, god of war. Look at your alphabet. 23 of the 26 letters are Latin originals. European civil law codes echo Justinian's Corpus Juris. Highways follow Roman footprints. Concrete skylines copy Roman mix ratios. Sports stadiums mimic the Colosseum ellipse for optimal sight lines. Even the notion of a senate reappears in modern republics. When engineers pour domes, when lawmakers write statutes, when armies march in units of centuries and cohorts, Rome whispers instructions. A cattle village becomes a republic becomes an empire becomes a blueprint for governance, engineering, and identity. 10 pivot points carried Rome along that arc. The invention of shared power, conquest of Italy, 3 earth-shaking Punic wars, the Republic's spiral into civil violence, Augustus's marketing masterclass, aqueducts and roads that rewired landscapes, blood sport that glued society, voices from slaves to senators, shaping destiny, a crisis that split the empire, and a legacy that outlived its marble. Rome teaches that resilience outranks genius, logistics outruns luck, and ideas cast in concrete can outlast the ages. If this whirlwind march lit a torch in your historical heart, the campaign continues. Tap the playlist Ancient Rome Unpacked and drill into our next episode, Legion Tactics, How 5,000 Men Fought Like a Machine. Vote in the community tab for which emperor we should roast or praise next, and drop your hottest Roman hot take in the comments. Smash subscribe, ring the Centurion's bell, and join Historical Lens on the long road, from the Forum to the Fall and beyond. Veil, citizen, until our next muster on the field of history.